Welcome back to Grassroots Radio Colorado. This is Kris Cook, and we have Cori and Andy Pate of the Party of Choice in studio. We're talking about Greeks and Jews, which doesn't sound political.
It doesn't, does it?
No, it doesn't.
It's about to get political.
Okay.
Let's talk. Okay, that's talking about the terrain that the original Christians were facing in their society.
Okay.
Okay. Some were talking to Jews who shared their foundations, and some were talking to Greeks who did not share their foundations,
right.
And they had to come at it from a totally different way. Basically, they had to reestablish the foundations with the Greeks.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about today's terrain. I want to ask you a few quick questions. I actually asked you these on Tuesday.
Okay.
So, when we look at the people at work in your community, or more than that, in places where you rarely go, were they taught by constitutionalists or by public education?
Public education.
Okay. Were they informed by constitutionalists or the liberal media?
Liberal media.
Are they influenced by constitutionalists or the entertainment industry?
Constitutionalists. Oh, wait, no, the entertainment industry.
That's right. But, well, the entertainment industry is so in love with the Constitution.
It is.
They are, and so it really is the same.
And it's evidenced in every single movie that they put out.
I've noticed. You've noticed it too? No.
There's so few that I can even watch without getting mad.
Team America.
Team America I can watch without getting mad.
Just watching, the puppets of Hollywood stars blow up is kind of cool.
That is true.
Okay. So, are we trying to reach Greeks? Are we trying to reach Greeks or Jews in this society politically?
Greeks.
Totally Greeks.
Yeah.
So what happens when we go to them and just start spouting the Constitution, or say I'm a constitutional conservative, which, by the way, I am?
But they don't have any clue what that means.
No, in fact, they have thoughts about people who say that.
Right.
Well, what do they think when they hear somebody coming at them? I'm a constitutional conservative.
Racist.
Intolerant, bigot, homophobe, sexist. You hate puppies. You hate kittens.
Right. I have puppies for breakfast. That's exactly what they think. They think we're hateful, racist warmongers.
But the truth is, the only conservatives who have puppies for breakfast are the ones on high-protein diets. And the rest of us are not like you.
It's very paleo.
Oh, yeah, very. Okay, so let's look at some examples of blowing this, okay, really quickly. Joni Ernst, I know I keep picking on her response to the State of the Union. And for all those who know, I'm not picking on Joni Ernst. She didn't write it.
Right.
Bobby Jindal didn't write his disastrous response.
Right.
Okay? I'm looking at her handlers. I'm looking at these people who somehow, some way move their way up the GOP ladder. And it happens in the Tea Party, too, because the Tea Party response was dreadful. And he's a great guy.
Right.
They get these people who write these responses. Let me ask you, rhetorically speaking, were those responses aimed toward Greeks or Jews?
Jews.
Totally.
Yeah.
Because they didn't explain why any of the things we believe are true.
Oh, but I mean, let's think about the response to the State of the Union and what the purpose is of the opposing party doing that. Are they giving that response in order to try to sway all the Democrats who just listened and applauded and stood up and down and jumped up and down on their couch going yay 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 watching Obama's speech? Are they trying to reach them, or are they trying to reach all the people who just almost broke their television by throwing things at it, who would have that sort of shared culture and give them some comfort?
Well, I know people whose heads exploded when they watched the speech, and they didn't like Joni's response either. So
I didn't particularly like Joni's response either, but
they're mainly trying to reach the people in the middle. Keep in mind, we just won a major election, and the people in the middle in this country right now understand there's been an enormous power swing.
Right.
And a good number of them were probably pretty curious as to what we might say.
Okay.
Okay. Now, does that mean it's going to sell really well? No, but it does mean that it's going to circulate. If it's well done, it's going to circulate pretty quick on YouTube and stuff.
Okay.
It wasn't well done. It crashed and burned.
Right. Which means it circulates even faster, unfortunately.
Or let's hope not. But here's the thing. She didn't respond to any, Barack Obama's main point the whole time was redistribution of wealth.
Right.
Rob the rich for the poor and all this. She didn't say one single thing to show why that's a bad thing.
Right.
Okay? There was no reasoning. There was no response. There was nothing to actually sell conservatism. All she did was proclaim conservatism. Okay?
That's a great distinction.
That's like the guy downtown.
Right.
He's not selling Christianity, and I mean that in the right way, folks. Okay, not the mega Crystal Palace mega church way. But he's not selling Christianity, he's proclaiming it.
Right.
To people who don't share his foundations. He's not listening to Paul on how to handle Greeks. And neither did the writers for Joni Ernst.
Okay.
All right. Once again, we already talked about quoting the Constitution. That's like quoting the scriptures to people.
Right.
Okay. That doesn't mean you don't do it. It means you don't lead with it. Okay.
Okay.
The word liberty. How will that sell with our society? Seriously.
I'm guessing since you're not the party of liberty, your position is, I mean, we've talked about this before.
Yeah, like I always say, when people hear the word liberty, they think of powdered wigs and knickers. And so, it's not about gun rights, it's about musket rights. I mean, really, right? That's what they're thinking of. They're thinking of not freedom of the press, but freedom of the printing press. So right. It's an old-fashioned word. It's a good word, but they don't understand it.
It's a fantastic word, but it's a word that you have to teach them, not just tell them.
Okay.
All
okay.
Right?
I'll buy that.
Okay. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the word risk?
Reward?
Yep. Because you're conservative.
Okay.
Most people, when they think risk, think danger.
Okay.
Think about that for a moment. Okay. So
that was an interesting Rorschach test.
Yeah. When we talk, when we just bring our message and tell people we're going to get you off the public dole, we're going to get you off this, get you off that, we're scaring the living daylights out of them.
Right. Because they think you're taking all the money that I have out of my pocket and not giving me any replacement.
Mm-hmm. Right. We need to explain to them why this is better for them. We need to, once again, explain why.
Right.
And we don't do that much.
No.
And that's why this Greek society is listening to us and hearing foolishness. And we wonder again and again and again, why aren't they listening? Why don't they? My gosh, our arguments make so much more sense, and everything the left does crashes and burns.
Right. And our charts are so pretty. And when they don't understand the charts, we make bigger charts.
I do like the charts.
Yeah.
I do like the charts.
And this is exactly what we do. This is exactly what we do over and over and over again. We throw facts at them, and we don't tell them where those facts fit in context.
Mm-hmm, because we assume that they agree with us.
Right.
We look at redistribution as theft.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so we think, well, that's wrong. It's theft. They look at us sharing. Somebody else's money, but they're sharing.
Forced compulsory sharing.
And it's more than that for me. I think when I think about redistribution, it's also slavery. Mm-hmm. It's dependency. It's creating dependency, and it's enslaving an entire generation of people.
Right.
Even more than it is theft.
Right. But that's not how they see it.
Right.
They see it the opposite way.
Right.
They see it as, well, if you don't give them this, then you're holding them down.
Right.
How could you do that? I thought you cared about people.
I do. That is why.
See how backwards this is?
Yeah.
So one thing that we also need to do is we need to step out of our bubbles, and we have to try and think of a way to explain these things to people who have never heard them before. So when I taught character education in Denver Public Schools, I had a kindergarten class that was Spanish speaking only.
Okay. Do you speak Spanish?
Not a word.
Okay.
I can count to 10, and I know a couple of my colors. So, you're teaching character qualities like attentiveness and obedience.
Right.
Following directions. You can act those things out with little kids, and they get it.
Okay.
Okay, you can turn it into a game. But the third character quality we got to was truthfulness. That is not a concrete subject. That is an abstract subject, which is difficult to teach children anyway that small.
Right.
But when they don't share your language, how are you supposed to teach them without words?
Right.
So my teaching partner, Jamie, and I, we were at her house that night planning for the next day, and we're like, how are we going to do this? She had a brilliant idea. She's like, you know what? We can't use words at all. So we are going to have to do something completely different. She's like, let's draw pictures. I'm like, okay, how are we going to do this? She's like, okay, so here. So she drew a picture of a carrot, and she colored one orange, and then she colored the other one purple.
Okay.
And then she had a picture of a house, and one was, looks like a nice little pretty house. And the next one had the chimney on the side, and the curtains were upside down, and the door was on the roof. So you get the point.
Okay.
Well, we didn't know if this was going to work or not, but we took it in, and the kids loved it.
Okay.
Okay, because at first we're like, is this true? Is this true? Showing them each of the flashcards, and we'd get yes and no's, and then we would teach them. We'd show up the real picture, and we'd say, is this true? Yes. Is this true? know.
Okay.
And they would giggle like crazy over the silly pictures.
You see, what I would do is just draw 2 outlines, one of the Ukraine and one of Afghanistan. I'd label them both Ukraine and then scream at them when they get it wrong.
And this is why you did not have that job.
I'm a guy. It's different. You don't understand. I reach them, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just take them out on the playground and play with them. Anyway, so the whole point is, though, we had to get completely out of our comfort zone. We had to come at it from a completely different direction.
Right.
But it worked.
Right.
And so when you're explaining conservatism, whatever the topic is, you need to remember those kindergartners. Because they did not understand truthfulness at all. They didn't speak my language at all, but we still got through to them. So when you're thinking about ways to explain concepts, whether it's redistribution of wealth or free college, take it down to the lowest possible level you can think of when you're explaining it to them. You might think it seems insulting, but I promise you, they've never thought of it that way before.
Zach Pugh, who is the board operator, or was the board operator for Randy's show, Wake Up with Randy Corcoran, in the morning, came up with this idea that when you're speaking to Democrats, take it down to the kindergarten level and then dumb it down a few years.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that was how he used to explain that. And it's not that they're dumb; it's just that they've
never heard it our way before.
Exactly.
Once again, they've been taught by academia, the media, entertainment. Right. They've been taught by everybody who's on the other side from us.
So they don't have the vocabulary.
Right. It's not their fault.
I mean, that's really the bottom line. They don't have the vocabulary, and words create concepts.
They do.
And that's why it's, just as a side note, that's one of the main problems with them, the Democrats, the liberal progressives, stealing our language, like the word choice.
But in the next section, though, we're going to talk about some of the good news of this. I know this sounds tedious and awful. Oh, my gosh, you mean I got to go through all these steps? No. It's cool. There's a great side to this.
There is a huge payoff. And this is actually, and I'm really glad we're talking about this tonight, because this is something I have been thinking about a lot lately, and I think that this is what my book is actually going to be about. I've been trying to figure out some sideways ways into doing this. It's about selling that conservative message.
So we're going to get a percentage of the sales, I assume.
The entire acknowledgement section, basically, at this point, is you guys. So you're listening to, this is Kris Cook, and that's Cori Pate, and that's Andy Pate, and they're with the Party of Choice, and this is Grassroots Radio, and the radio station is KLZ 560. Stay tuned. 560. Stay tuned.